Okay, so today I'm back with a little bit of something that I did last week. It's more about intentions. It's my notes on that basically continued because when I came back from like recording last week's video, or like a few days ago's video, or I don't know what day it is, but the last video that I did, it was about intentions, and it was about basically how your emotions don't really dictate how your manifestations are going to come in, or if they're going to come in at all. Your mood doesn't really have so much as an effect on that. I think being positive can amplify your manifestations coming in, definitely. But what really matters is your intention and the intention you set. So that was last week's video. It'll be somewhere over here if you want to watch it. But yeah, so more on that. When I was thinking more about it, when I was like editing last week's video, I was thinking more about it because I felt like there was more I wanted to say. And I wanted to talk more about how people, just not like anyone in particular, but I just feel like there is like this notion that everything that you think is going to manifest. But that isn't true, because just personally, like I've been afraid of like losing certain people like since I was a kid, and I'm 28 and those people are still alive. So just because you are afraid of something doesn't mean that it's going to manifest. Just because you think something doesn't mean that is automatically going to happen. So what really matters is the intention behind it. Like I said, when I was a kid and I would be afraid of like, you know, sometimes I would like leave my dad's house and be like, oh, like I just miss him so much. I don't want anything to happen to him. Like, and just be terrified that something would. But my intention wasn't for something to happen to him, because that was the opposite of my intention. So nothing ever actually happened to him. And you know, we all pass at our own times, and he's going to be 82 this year, and he's still kicking and still living. And like, so nothing that I thought or like was afraid of as a kid ever happened, because it wasn't my intention. So that is why I feel like our intentions behind our manifestations are what truly matters. And yeah, I wanted to talk about that because, again, your fears don't manifest. If that is something you intentionally don't want to happen, it's not going to happen. And it is okay to be in a bad mood. I talked about this in my last video too, that it's okay to sometimes lose a little bit of your faith. It's okay to be afraid sometimes, but as long as you are still taking those steps to reach your manifestations, to reach your goals, then that is what really matters. Because there are sometimes that I get afraid that what I'm trying to manifest is like so out of my range, and it's like it's not even something possible for me, but I still keep going every day because I do believe that in my core, like that is my intention, is to make that happen. And sometimes I do get like there will be sometimes like maybe like once a month, it'll just be randomly that I will think like, wow, maybe I'm in over my head. And it won't be what I feel at the core, and it won't be my authentic, intentional feelings, but it'll just be sometimes like a little bit of a fear. And I feel like that's okay. But it really matters how we act after we have those fears. Because if you have a fear about something that you really want, say you really want to be like in the, oh my goodness, what is the baseball league called? MLB. You really want to be a Major League Baseball player. But you don't really take the steps to do that, because like, even though that is like sort of a dream that you have, you're still telling yourself, no, that could never happen to me. So you don't even take those first steps. You have this far off dream that you feel like is far off. Maybe it's not far off if you took the steps, but right now it feels far off to you because it just feels like so unreachable based on where you are in your reality currently. But you're not even going to take those steps you're not even going to like try out for baseball. You're not going to like join a baseball team. You're not going to, really plan out those steps and take those actions to be a Major League Baseball player. So that is just an example. Maybe you don't even care about baseball. I don't really care about baseball all that much. But yeah, it could be sort of one of those things where you really get in your head about taking that first step, and you get so terrified and you keep yourself in that lack mentality that something isn't going to happen, because if you have the idea that something isn't going to happen, you're not going to take those steps, and it's not going to happen at all. But as long as you are taking the step every single day to do something out of your comfort zone, to do something even if you are afraid, that is where you're going to see results. And again, I get afraid sometimes. I get really scared that sometimes I'm in over my head with my manifestation. Sometimes I feel like, you know, just basing things off past experiences, like, no, that can't even be possible. But I still keep going. I still have to silence that voice in my head that is telling me something isn't possible, because like if I kept listening to it, I would stay in the place I'm in right now. And I don't want to be in the place I'm in right now. Like, I want to keep evolving and I want to keep expanding. And, you know, there's nothing that is telling me that those goals are unreachable, because again, like all of the people that we have in the world, all of the people who are, you know, just content creators, influencers, on Instagram, and like, this is just their reality. This is what they do for their living. And, you know, they are basically showing us what is possible. And, you know, it's sort of an inspiration to be, you know, for anybody to like try to strive for something that you see somebody else achieving, which is amazing, because like nothing is impossible at the end of the day. You can go to the moon. People have been to the moon. People just go up. They're flying up everywhere, wherever, that anything is possible. So yeah, there's a difference between having faith and a little bit of fear versus having fear that is holding you back and you don't have any faith in yourself. So I wrote this down. I don't know if it makes sense, because I was like, before I recorded this video, I was reading my notes and they didn't even make sense to me. And I'm a Pisces, and I feel like I think far off, and like I'm a Pisces Mercury, and nothing that I say in my head ever makes sense when I try to say it again. But I'm going to try and get through this. I wrote, when your faith wavers, you still have faith, plenty of it, enough for it to waver. So you have enough faith for it to waver, if that makes any sense at all. So that is different than having no faith at all, because if you have no faith, there's nothing to lose, or there's nothing to shift. Like, your energy isn't going to, your faith isn't going to shift, because you don't have any of it. You don't have any faith in yourself to achieve something. So like, there's nothing for you to like lose or gain, I guess. Like, there's everything for you to gain. I don't know how I was thinking of that, but yeah, I hope maybe that makes sense. I think I'm going to try and figure out what I meant. I think I know what I meant, but it is a little bit hard to explain. But I think if you get it, you get it. But I'm just going to keep reading what I wrote. So that is how fears are different than having no faith at all. If you don't even believe you can achieve something and you have an unhealthy mindset, that is how your words can affect your reality. And if you tell yourself something won't work and you don't even take a chance on yourself, that dream will never happen. But when you do take a chance on yourself and you take little steps, even on days where your faith wavers, you're further ahead than you would be if you took no steps at all. Because you have at least a little bit of faith to get you through, which can build over time. And sometimes we need a little reminder or confirmation to get our full faith back. Sometimes we can lose a little bit of our faith, but then, you know, you can have an epiphany, you can have sort of like see a confirmation somewhere in the world, in your day-to-day, like right in front of you, that really affirms that what you are doing matters to you, and that, you know, you can keep pushing, you can keep going. The other day I was like, damn, do I just like stop what I'm doing? Because I was just getting like really down. Again, it was like one of those days where like my faith was wavering in what I was doing. But, you know, I tried to look at it from a different perspective. I had a mindset shift basically. And I just brought myself out of that, and I feel better now. But yeah, that is a time where I didn't let my fear overcome my faith, and I didn't let it take over. I really focused on everything that I've been through, and I was like, you know what, I put this much work into it. I can't just give it up. I can't give it up without seeing it through, and also seeing how far I can achieve and what I'm made of, basically. And oh, this is another part that I wrote, which I was talking and thinking more about how your mood can affect how people say your mood affects your manifestation. Because I've had people who have been super nice to me, super kind to me. They've smiled in my face, but also their intention was to take advantage of me. So just because they were nice, just because they were positive and happy, didn't mean their manifestation or their intention was going to manifest because their intention was cruel. Like their intention wasn't a good thing, because it was to take advantage of me. It was to see, take something from me, whatever it was. So just because they were in a nice mood didn't mean that their manifestation was going to happen. So that is why I feel like your intention is key when you're manifesting, because if you're intentionally trying to hurt somebody, you're intentionally trying to take advantage of somebody, that is probably going to backfire on you, or you might get what you want for a little bit, and you're going to think that you got what you want, and you're going to it might be there for a short amount of time, but it is going to come back and you're going to lose it probably far worse than you ever got it. So yeah, that's why I think your intentions mean everything when you're manifesting. So just because, those people were nice to me didn't mean anything. And, I do everything intentionally with the intention of, helping people, like through here and through like shorts and reels that I post and all the little videos I post, and also through my jewelry with making people feel confident and stuff like that, and wearing pieces that they're going to feel happy and content in. So that is my intention. I'm never trying to take advantage of somebody. I don't sell my work with the intention of taking somebody's money. I will tell all of my customers, like, hey, think about it. If you really want it, come back for it. If you don't, then you don't. Like, it is what it is. And I'm not trying to take advantage of anybody like that. I'm not trying to take anybody's money like that. And that is just my intention. And let me see what else I wrote. Being positive and optimistic and grateful can be so powerful in amplifying your manifestations. And those are tools that I use. Like, if you really sit and think about what you're grateful for, it can help you bring in more things that you want to be grateful for. And, because you've set that intention, basically, that you're grateful for things. But just because you have a yucky day every once in a while doesn't mean you've pushed away your manifestations or you're no longer deserving. We're not positive all the time and we're not negative all the time. Life is a balance between both. And it is like finding, that comfort and basically that courage. So when you're a little bit fearful, you are finding the courage to bring yourself back again. You're figuring out how to get back into your faith through like whatever like confirmation you see. Sometimes it could be like a number, like right now it's 11:11 in the morning. Sometimes it's like I see a lot of animals. I see certain birds that will fly near me, which is sort of like a confirmation for me. And it could be, whatever that kind of thing is for you. It could even be like a video that pops up. It could be a billboard. It could be a show. It could be like clicking to a certain channel and somebody says exactly what you need to hear. That can be a confirmation. So we can see those certain things in our own unique ways. But I think, moral of this video, your mood doesn't exactly dictate whether you're deserving of your manifestations. Absolutely, if it's something that you are really setting your intentions on, something that you really feel aligns with your core, of course you're deserving of it. You have that calling for a reason to go towards that thing, to go make that dream a reality. So keep going. Don't let your faith get in the way. Of course, sometimes we can be in crappy moods. Sometimes we can be like, you know what? Like, I give up. Whatever is going to happen is going to happen. We can get in those moods sometimes, and that is okay. We can bring ourselves back. We can, want to quit sometimes and bring ourselves back. But as long as your intention is to keep going, you're taking those actions to keep going every single day, you're going to see the results, no matter what, no matter how long it takes. Because sometimes we can want something like right now. I really want it right now, and we can say that to ourselves. But we can look back a week from now and be like, you know what? I actually wasn't really ready for that thing. I kind of probably would have messed it up, and, I wouldn't have put my full energy into it. So, everything happens for a reason. When we're manifesting, everything happens at the right timing for us. And your mood isn't always going to affect that. You can be in a crappy mood and it's okay. As long as your intention is right, your manifestation is going to happen. And as long as that aligns with you, it's going to happen no matter what. Yeah, so that was a little bit more that I wanted to say from last time. I feel better now because... I feel like when I was learning more about manifestations at the beginning of my journey, there was just this fear that everything that I thought was going to happen, because that was what people were saying. But that is not true. You can be afraid of something and you know, we can have our fears. We can be afraid of losing loved ones. We can be afraid of, you know, driving, you can be afraid of, you know, getting into an accident. And that doesn't mean that every time you go out to drive, you're going to get into an accident. Like, not at all, because that isn't what you're intentionally trying to bring into your life. So yeah, I think it is very harmful to tell people that everything that they think is going to manifest. I think when you can use your words to shape your reality, absolutely, and the way that you think about yourself. But yeah, thinking that certain things are going to happen in the world is like, it's just harmful. And I think that is like, also, we know what fear mongering is. The people can make you afraid, or you can make yourself afraid, or other people afraid of something that is going to happen, but it probably isn't going to happen. So, you know, like, there's probably like 1 in 100 things that you're right about. But even like me, like, sometimes I used to be afraid of things. And then I would keep pushing and pushing and pushing to make that thing happen. And I'd be like, well, you know what? I was right. But no, that was just because I was just so terrified of it. And I wanted to be right so bad that when it eventually happens, like, even if it was like 5 years later, like if it was about a person, I'd be like, yeah, you know what? Like, that person is whatever I thought about them, like whatever that thing was. But like, I wasn't right, and it didn't have anything to do with my fears. And I think I'm getting a little bit off topic, but like, not everything that we think is going to manifest if we don't have the intention behind it. And I've said this before, that in another video, that you can use your words to shape your reality, because the words that you use basically towards yourself, this is basically talking about yourself, your reality, the way you think about yourself. So the words that you can use about yourself can manifest, because the way that you think about yourself becomes how you treat yourself, becomes, you know, your actions and your behaviors, and then it basically becomes who you are to the world. So all of those things can spiral and, you know, become one into another. But, you know, you can also stop that at any point by shifting your mindset and thinking highly of yourself and thinking positive about yourself. And that is different than, you know, the fears and the faith that I was talking about. So there is a difference between there. I feel like this kind of stuff, it isn't so black and white. There are gray areas. So that is why I wanted to talk more about it and more about the intentions, because it isn't exactly, you know, like I said, black and white. It isn't exact. Because your words can create your reality, and your words can sometimes manifest, but that just means that you have the intention behind it. Sometimes I will think of things. I remember I was just thinking about going on a trip with like my cousins and stuff. And I was like, well, I wonder if this one would still want to do that. And that was just like, it was like a fleeting thought. And it was something that I really cared about and wanted to do. It wasn't something that, again, I wasn't afraid of that happening. But yeah, it was something that I was really interested in doing. And then a few hours later, my cousin texted me about it. So it could be things like that where, you know, like you're aligned with, or like, just, I don't even know. I don't know how I made that happen. It could have been like a sixth sense. I don't even know. She and I are just very connected too. But yeah, there are a lot of gray areas. There are a lot of nuances to this kind of stuff, but you can also reflect on your own life. Has anything that you've ever been afraid of truly manifested into your life? Like, again, if you're afraid of losing somebody, if you're afraid of something happening to you, and just that fear alone, has that ever manifested? Because like I said, sometimes we can get into, like, they're called self-fulfilling prophecies, where we are so set on something being real that we keep pushing and keep pushing to make it real. Or you keep, like, say you keep thinking somebody's going to break up with you, and then you keep doing things that are going to make them break up with you. Like, you're going to make things like unsufferable and unbearable in the relationship actively with your own actions, and then that person breaks up with you, and then you're going to be like, ha, I knew it, they were going to break up with me. Like, no, that had to do with your actions. That wasn't because you were afraid of that thing. That was because you kept acting towards that thing to make that thing a reality. So that is different from, again, that wasn't a fear, that was an action that you were taking. So your fear didn't manifest, your actions manifested it. And yeah, that is completely, those were two different things, two different intentions, like I was talking about. So yeah, there are a lot of, again, nuances. There are a lot of things that go into that. And it just really, I think if you just reflect on your life and how this applies to your life, yeah, then I think it will make sense to you, because yeah, there's, I think, a lot that goes into it. But I hope that was a little bit helpful. That was like what I wanted to say, the extra things from last time. But yes, feel free to watch both of the videos about intentions. I think that might be all I wanted to say about it. It might come up at another time, but for now, that was everything. And I hope that was helpful. I hope that was a little bit insightful, that you don't have to be afraid of every single thought manifesting. If you're not taking the actions behind it, if you don't have the intentions behind that action that you want to take, it's not really going to happen. So you don't have to be terrified of everything. You don't have to be afraid of, you know, everybody being out to get you, everybody trying to hurt you, so you got to hurt them before they hurt you. Like, no, no. Because then those people are going to get irritated, and then they're going to hurt you, and then you're like, I knew it, you were going to hurt me. But no, you just hurt them first. So whatever it is, just be honest with yourself. Again, we're here about authenticity and just being our true selves, and, you know, trying to be our best selves. And like I said, you can shift your reality at any point with the way that you think about yourself and the things you want to allow in your life. And again, said that in other videos, but yeah, that's where we're about here. I'm going to finish my iced tea. I made an iced tea today, and I'm gonna get on with my day. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next video in a few days from now. Bye for now.